Civil disobedience has played a key role in the creation of the United States of America. While it is very important in today's world as well, many of the activists today misdefine the term civil disobedience. Hello, my name is Cade Barker, and as a concerned American citizen, today I am going to, and having done research, today I'm going to explain why what is going on in today's protests is not civil disobedience, and is in fact illegal. Civil disobedience, defined in Webster's dictionary, is nonviolent opposition to a law through refusal to comply with it on grounds of conscience. In other words, this is a moral concern. This is nonviolent, and this is key. Today we're going to go through examples, and we're going to look at why it is so important to be nonviolent, and that it still can cause great success. Now, the first one you got to be careful with, because it did lead to a Revolutionary War, but it was a nonviolent protest. The Boston Tea Party was a nonviolent protest in which American citizens, well, actually British citizens, colonists at the time, were tired of being taxed without representation, having no representation in Parliament. That was their purpose, was to defy what was an unfair tax on their tea. They threw the tea into the harbor. And successfully were able to draw more people to their cause. People understood what was wrong with the government, with the ruling body of England. And so they rose up, and this eventually led to the Revolutionary War, which was a formal war, and created this great nation. So we can see that even at the beginning, the United States was using civil disobedience. This is why it is written into the First Amendment, the right to peacefully assemble. In other words, the right to civil disobedience. Now, in order to continue, we're going to take a different turn towards Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a native-born Indian in the country of India. At the time, it was a British colony, but much like in the United States, India was being treated unfairly by the British. He took an entirely different strategy as other people that were going against the British government. He took a nonviolent approach. Mahatma Gandhi is quoted as saying, "We may never be strong enough to be entirely nonviolent in thought, word, and deed. But we must keep nonviolence as our goal and make the strong progress towards it." Mahatma Gandhi knew exactly what his purpose was. He knew that in order for him to not only be successful, but also to maintain his sense of morality, he needed to continue to be strong in his beliefs of nonviolence and adhere strictly to his religion. And with his hard work of nonviolence, he was able to successfully cause a resistance against the government. England relented India, and they became independent. Mahatma Gandhi had succeeded. His life was a hard one, but he ultimately met his goal. But he met a sad end, and he was assassinated, sadly. But the truth is, he was successful, and we should all be remembering what he said. nonviolence should be our goal. Now, I will bring up the violence and riots that are going on now. But first, I want to bring up the anti-war movement during the 60s and 70s. While many of these protesters were nonviolent and actually did believe in nonviolence, strangely enough, a lot of people fought them. They would fight the police. They would fight people who disagreed with them. And this is something that caused a lot of alarm. The silent majority in the 60s and 70s actually began to be very vocal about their opinions, especially against the anti-war movement. They understood that they understood that while maybe the war was unnecessary, fighting against the government in order to do it in violent actions was not the way to go about. The United States eventually did pull out of the war after a peace treaty was signed. Nonviolent actions were the ones that prevailed. But the movements that were against it, such as the Black Panthers, for one example, were highly disregarded by the silent majority, and people just saw them as a terrorist group just causing violence. And now the current protests, while they might have a point, and there are definitely bad cops, attacking police officers, attacking and looting stores is not a way that you can get your point across. The civil rights movement was extremely different. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that in nonviolence. He believed nonviolence would save the day, in a manner of speaking. He marched on the Lincoln Memorial. He did it peacefully. He spoke. And the civil rights movement was that. But the current movements of Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ, while they do have merit, I will give them that, they are not going about it in the right way. The First Amendment was written to protect our right to peacefully assemble. The entire point is to be peaceful and be civilized. Morally speaking, this is wrong. It is wrong to attack other people. It is wrong to loot people's stores. After many years of civil disobedience, we see and know that the United States is no stranger for the cry of better things. We are not perfect. And the failures of today's world have caused people to keep on speaking against injustices. But riots are not the moral route in order for us to take. Civil disobedience is. We must stand in nonviolent opposition to a law through refusal to comply with it on grounds of conscience. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.